dirt's not going to help him as we got Espes, who has been saving fuel. Does he have enough to finish this lap going all out? Taking a look down the inside as he gets covered up. Oh, we're going to go 3 wide into the hairpin.
3 wide. Hawkin makes it stick on the right side. Better run for Williams on the left. Espes chooses the left as well. Hawkin now stuck side by side as Espes goes for a 3 wide move. Heading towards Cunningham. Espes bullies his way back up to the point. Williams with the preferred line. Hawkin makes it 3 wide again. Hawkin and Williams late break. Side by side still.
Tolinen's got one of the best runs we've seen from him yet, and this could be the overtake he's been looking for. He pulls up on him, staying to the inside. Partanen stays down low as they come towards the braking into 1 and 2. A little bit of a back off from Tolinen, even though he's good on the binders. Oh, but he shakes him off the racing line and pulls the over-under, and he gets past Partanen.
Gonna poke his nose to the inside, going down into turn 10. That sweeping right-hander. Oh, contact! Newhook gets the worst of it.
He tries to woe it up. Can he? He does keep it on course, amazingly. I thought he was going to have to cut the chicane, but now look at all of them swamping side to side as there's a little bit of a brush into the right front fender of Newhook's car. Now a little bit of banging between himself and Cowgill, trying to hold on to it. They are getting rough out there. We still have 28 minutes to go.
Joe, that was almost 4 wide coming down into turn 1. I don't know if I've ever seen that much aggression here out of these MX-5s.
Under braking, who is the bravest here? More lap traffic in front of him. It looks like Reynolds goes a little bit deeper, but is it too deep? No, he gets ahead. Thomas O'Leary cannot hold him back. Blake Reynolds is back up to the point, fighting back now. It's going to come down through the stadium section and the inside with Thomas O'Leary. The shorter line and a spin from Blake Reynolds gives it up. Get one more good shot here, but passing into Rent. I don't know about that. Side by side in the last corners will be sketchy. Lap traffic staying out of the way. Hammer defends to the inside. Burns around the long way. And he's going to have to take to the runoff because there's a little bit of nudge between them. Comes back to the racetrack, but he's behind as Hammer exits the final corner. Hammer is going to take the win here at Austria. After a season of consistency, Costa's persistence finally paid off with a victory in Miami. With Severi Seppa having failed to win since round 3, he needs a turn of form to get back up to the points lead. Will Sebring offer him the chance to do so? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 11 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sebring is a circuit that's notorious among drivers for its extremely rough surface. To help show you what we mean, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Sebring International Raceway, Home to the 12 Hours of Sebring, one of the most grueling tests in endurance racing, this is a track which has earned a fearsome reputation among drivers. The circuit itself is located on the southeastern edge of the city of Sebring, Florida, and was built out of Hendricks Army Airfield shortly after World War II. 3 layouts are currently in use, ranging from 1.7 to 3.7 miles in length. The longest course, which is perhaps the most well-known with it being the one used for the famed endurance race, shockingly still contains portions of the original airfield surface. It's this aspect which has become a signature feature of the track, making it extremely bumpy for racing. Sunset Bend in particular nearly shakes cars apart while they attempt to navigate the high-speed 180-degree corner. As you'd expect for the side of an airfield, there's nearly no elevation change over the course of a lap, but many of the curves are dramatically tall and unforgiving, daring drivers to glance them yet not hit them directly. Thankfully, places to pass are plentiful, including spots like the Hairpin and Cunningham. However, the many fast, sweeping turns creates a dilemma for car setup, since a vehicle that's made too stiff could wind up bottoming out on the onerous bumps. In the end, if you have the wherewithal to withstand the track's rough nature, you're likely to fare well. And since Florida fans almost always show up in huge numbers to witness this test of car and driver, you'll have plenty to impress at this legendary North American road course. Well, DJ, this is going to be a fun one. Ground effects cars usually have a difficult time here, and with so much on the line, I think the drivers might be a little nervous.
I think they will indeed, Joe. And as you mentioned, because of the ground effects on these Lotus 79s, the drivers are going to have to be especially careful. All of these bumps have a way of upsetting the car a little bit and throwing those ground effects off. And that's going to be particularly apparent through some of the faster sections of the track. Looking at really sector 2 around here from Tower down to Le Mans, that's going to be an area of concern. And then, of course, the big tricky area going down into Sunset Bend. Now, not only is that the best passing zone, but it's also one of the fastest corners on the track along with turn 1. So both of those areas, drivers are going to have to be aggressive, but very careful. Outside of that, look for some maybe passes getting done into the hairpin and some aggressive stuff going into Cunningham. But on the whole, I think this is going to be a battle for survival more than anything else.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It tends to rough up the cars and the drivers. Now, as we take a look at the championship, they've started counting the drop weeks, and that has shuffled things around a lot because, as you can see, Seppa is now in second by only 3 points behind. Partanen, with his recent turn of form, is still up there, but he's 11 points back from Juanmi Costa, who with a single win leads the way. Marco Kayla has not been showing up lately, and that's put him behind the 8 ball as Timothy Reed rounds out your top 5. The only ones eligible for the championship at this point mathematically are those top 5. And I do not see Marco Kayla here once again, sadly. But let's head to the team's championship, which is a different story.
It is indeed a little bit more lonely at the top there for Equip Renault Elf, leading the way with 26 points over March Grand Prix team. That's not an unassailable gap for them to make up, but it is pretty close. Fittipaldi Automotive, though, only 8 points back of March, so a nice little battle maybe starting to shape up there. Tyrrell Racing Team a little bit back, though, 52 points back overall, but they are caught up in a very close fight there with Ragno Arrows Beta Racing Team, only 1 point separating the two for fourth.
As for today's event, it's only 25 laps around here. It's an open setup series, so drivers can try and find speed by tweaking the car to their desire. Now, that'll probably be important with, of course, that ground clearance as well. Now, they have no spare car if they do get some damage, so if it's enough that they need to come into the pits, since there's no scheduled pit stops, it's going to be very costly trying to get those repairs. It is a drive-through penalty at 17 incidents and a disqualification at 25. And a correction for myself, Kayla is indeed here today. Somehow missed him on the sheet. So let's see if he can climb back to the top, because he's been one of the quickest all season long with multiple wins to his name. We're still waiting for the first times to be put down, and we're on board with Marco right now as he heads towards the hairpin himself. And these cars are mighty fast at this place. You can just see how quickly everything goes by. And in fact, he goes a little deep into there.
Yeah, he does. That may be a little bit of a result of some chilly breaks there. Only 81 degrees track temperature, 79 degrees out in the ambient air right now. And so those brakes may not be fully up to temperature, as well as the tires a little bit better there coming through Cunningham. There you can see it on your screen. The one thing drivers will be thankful for is that 60% humidity, a little bit more of the air pushing down, but holy moly, a lot of wind out here today. 20 miles an hour, gusting up to about 22, coming out of the southeast. Only the draft around here, but the handling as well.
Drivers starting to get times in as they cross the line, and Teemu Toika goes up to the top. That's a name we haven't seen on the channel in a minute, and he's only ahead by 15 thousandths of a second over Parkman.
Yeah, there's not a lot separating the two. I'm keeping my eye here on Marco Kayla. He was fast through sector 4 and 5, waiting for that last lap to come in and see where Marco gets across the line. That's going to be provisional pole.
No, Costa just behind him, pips him to it, and it is still extremely tight between many of the drivers. 600ths from P1 to P2. There's a bit of a leap to Toika now at 0.2 of a second. But I'm expecting this second lap could be a quick one as the tires start to get up to working temperature. We're watching from Gernot Frische, who is through Jean Debienne and past Le Mans now. This is a driver who's not been as quick in the qualifying these past couple seasons. Hasn't really adapted to this new tire lately. But in the races, he usually finds his way forward. So let's see if he can reverse that trend, at least in terms of qualifying, and find a little bit of one-lap pace.
Chucks the car down into sunset, taking that wide angle on the outside. That's a good line there for Gernot. I'm not seeing any purple sectors for him, but he's going to come across with a 1:46.3. That'll be good enough for 7th. Let's see if he's got a little bit more underneath that number 1 machine to try to get things going as we now watch Marco Kayla trying to see if he can make up that 62 thousandths of a second onto Juanmi Costa.
First of our drivers on the second lap are starting to cross. Oof. Big moment for Marco Kayla. I doubt that was the fast way through, unfortunately. So it's looking unlikely that he'll be able to try and improve upon that. As I see more drivers coming across. Tolinen up to 5th now. Kayla around Sunset Bend. And Ove Trangrade coming across in front of him. Looks like Trangrade at 46.3. He'll jump up one spot. But what does Kayla have? It looks like not faster, unfortunately.
But it is faster for Juanmi Costa, able to extend that gap a little bit by about 200ths of a second. So Juanmi looking on very, very good form here.
And critical news for the championship, Severi Seppa has not taken a second lap, and he only qualified 8th. As we watch Frische here in 10th, he is going to come around to see if he can go any faster than that 46.3. Tail waggling a bit as he came off of Le Mans onto the Ulmann straight. He's got one more corner to go here. And we've seen a few drivers go a little wide through here trying to avoid the bumps on the inside. Looks like that's what Frische is doing. Just trying to find the smoothest way around, even if it's not the shortest one. And as he comes across, it's a 45.7. That's a big improvement up to 3rd. That's one of the best qualifyings we've seen this season from Gernot.
It was indeed. Whoa, Daniel Gallus there getting a little friendly with the grass on the outside of the Sunset Bend. I don't think that's going to help him out all that much. And indeed, that lap will not count there for the number 15 machine.
And he doesn't have enough time to set another one. So he is done for the day as we have 30 seconds left. Just watching to see Barry West doesn't count. He's the last one across the line. So that means our grid is now clinched. Let's go through the starting order for today. It is Juanmi Costa who is on the pole. Can he convert that to another win? Marco Kayla is going to try to stop him from the outside of that front row. It'll be Gernot Frische trying to see if he can maybe get to the top spot. I'd have to check the stats to see the last time he won. Pauli Partanen will start in 4th with Teemu Toika starting from 5th. It is Jukka Tolinen in P6 and Timothy Reed starting 7th. Christoph Dubois is P8 today. Severi Seppa having trouble in qualifying, only starting 9th. He'll be followed by Timu Vaskalampi in 10th.
In 11th, it's going to be Ove Trangrade, followed by Peter Kozaneski with Pablo Suarez and Karthik Pai in 14th. Lloyd Barber will start off the inside of row 8, followed by Daniel Banker with Armando Edwards and Dylan Freckleton behind them. Keith Erner will be 19th, and Jason Polykopanoulis will be in 20th.
Joel Aguilera starts from 21st, as Barry West is the last one to set a time in 22nd. Gallus and Bart 5 round out 24 cars. It is top split here today, so it is the best of the best out here racing. And we are going to be racing for 25 laps for the penultimate round here in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. Just waiting for a few more of the drivers to grid up here in this gusty day out in Florida. And a few good lucks being exchanged between the drivers over the radio chat. Obviously, there's some heavy pressure on a few of them out there. Others, not necessarily pressure, but maybe desperation to finally prove themselves and get up to the top, either for the first time or back again. Just waiting on Kayla Tolanen and Polly Chronopoulos to put themselves out on the grid. Looks like we've got everybody but Jason now out there. And now they are all lined up. So the engines start to rev. The lights are up. And the green flag is out. Costa is good off the line. Not as great for Kayla. In fact, everybody behind him did not seem to launch nearly as well as Juan Mi Costa. They fly down into the first corner. A few thinking about 3 wide, then backing out of it, out of the turn. It looks like we are good with at least one driver kicking up some dirt.
Indeed, I believe that was Kozaneski in the back. Lloyd Barber starting to make some moves on his way forward. And it looks like as they work their way now through Gurney Bend, that lead from Juan Mi Costa is starting to come down just a little bit as Marco Kayla starts to put some pressure up to our leader.
Once again, people poking their nose out, seeing if they can make a pass. I see Timu Toika trying to get to the inside. Or no, he's on the outside of Ascalante, rather. And that is a battle for 7th place coming down to Cunningham. And up at the front, we are battling for the lead as Kayla already pressurizing Juan Mi Costa down into Cunningham.
I love that move from Marco Kayla, trying to apply that pressure early, see if he can force a mistake out of Costa while these tires are still cool. And Joe, this is the area the drivers have got to be very careful. You can see just how much wheel that Kayla was having to put in there. This is where that wind, that 20-mile-an-hour wind, is right blowing across the cars, coming onto the Ullman Straight and through this back section of the track. It can really, really throw off the aerodynamics in these machines.
Oh, it's just going to be a big tow from Marco Kayla as they fly down the Ullman Straight. But is it enough? Will he be able to try and make an attack here in the Sunset Bend? I think he's going to run out of straight, and he does. So he's going to stay behind for now. But look at the 2 different lines between them, hugging the inside on the way in. Juan Mi Costa deciding to brave the bumps, and that may have slowed him down because here comes Kayla once again as we hop on board with Pablo Suarez a bit farther back into the first corner. Kayla thought about it, but didn't have enough momentum, and he's going to get a second bite at it. That's a slow exit out of Juan Mi Costa. He has to go defensive. Down into turn 3, still not enough for Marco Kayla.
Oh, Juan Mi Costa making a mistake there, but able to put the car in a defensive position and block everything off. So there is good defensive driving from the number 6, but he knows Kayla is hungry here today. Kayla's going to tuck up behind, thinks about trying to make a move going down into the hairpin, but thinks better of it. But all of this battling up front, Joe, has allowed for Paulie Parsonen to really close in behind them. We ride on board now with the number 5.
Problem for Dubois, who's fallen down the order. I know Keith Herner had a spin as well as we go side by side once again and then back to in a single file line, outbreaking himself. Juan Mi Costa is starting to feel it a little bit. He's making mistakes here and there, and Kayla still not able to get by, but he knows he's got him on the ropes.
He does indeed, and we haven't really seen a whole lot of this wheel-to-wheel defense having to be made by Juan Mi Costa throughout the year. He's either been on the charge or way off into the lead of the race, and it really looks like Marco Kayla knows that and is just trying to tighten the screws as much as possible here in the early goings.
Marco Kayla, even though he has not shown up to 3 of the last 4 races. He's won 2 of those, the 2 that he showed up for at Bathurst and at Interlagos. So let's see if he's rusty during his time away, or if this is him just picking right back up where he left off. Gernot Friesche down 1 position from where he qualified in 4th place. And Pauli Partanen has gotten by him in the meantime of that. A little bit of a look as we can see up ahead, bounding over these bumps. But once again, Marco Kayla decides to back out of it.
And Friesche setting the fastest lap of the race there, and that's going to serve as a bit of a warning to Pauli Partanen directly ahead of him, as well as the rest of the field, that number 1 machine has a lot of speed. Not that we didn't already know that. Gernot, always one of the most scary drivers to see coming up behind you in the rearview mirror.
It was a pretty clean first lap, but now, after we're done with the first lap, I'm seeing multiple drivers tumble down the order. Bartfly had some issues as well, and now they're nose to tail from 1st to 3rd, at least they were, before Partanen just sent it too deep into the hairpin.
Yeah, Pauli having to back off a little bit after that, but a little bit of a look there from Marco Kayla trying to keep that pressure up to Juanmi Costa. It looks like Juanmi's started to settle back down into this a little bit more. We haven't seen some of those mistakes that he was making in the first couple of laps. I think he's got his feet back under him, those tires coming up to temperature, and he's able to weather this storm a little bit better.
That Cunningham corner, that seems to be Marco's favorite spot today. He's gaining coming up to Jean-Évian, but not much braking into this swift set of S's. So I'll have to sit tight. I'm guessing if we're going to see a pass, Marco's going to try and snatch that up through Cunningham as they come down the Ullman Straight. And he is a little bit closer than he was before. But I think Juanmi is quite fast on this part of the circuit for some reason. And yeah, he's just not going to be able to get up to him.
No, he's not. I'm looking at the top speeds there, and Juanmi obviously never having the benefit of the draft. A little bit of touch of the grass, that's going to slow him down slightly. Juanmi setting his top speed at about 170 miles an hour. But here comes Kayla thinking about a little bit of a move. Not going to be able to do it yet. Juanmi Costa setting the fastest lap of the race there last time out.
I'm starting to think that Marco's got it trimmed out, or it got more downforce rather, and Costa has it trimmed out because he seems quick in a straight line. But it's during these twisty bits that we start to see Marco catch up just like this, and this is exactly what he needed. Coming around Big Bend, down to the hairpin, already a defense from Juanmi Costa, but he drifts to the side too early, and a little bit of a shove out of the way. Marco Kayla is going to get into the lead.
And Pauli Partanen there thought about trying to make a move up to the inside of Juanmi Costa, but not quite able to make it work just yet. And Joe, to your point about Juanmi being a little bit more trimmed out, but we'll come back to that after we check out this replay.
Getting his elbows out, Marco was not going to be denied this time. He let him think that he was safe, and as soon as he drifted back, he stepped through the door, and even a little bit of a lockup from that Guinness car. Thankfully was able to make the turn.
Yeah, thankfully indeed, a very, very close situation there. But to point about that top speed out of Marco Kayla, his top speed, despite being caught up behind in the draft for the majority of this race, is 172 miles an hour. Compare that to some of the drivers behind him, specifically Partanen and Friesche, who are able to hit 176 and 179 respectively. There you can see in clean air, Kayla only hitting about 170. So I think that car definitely is a little bit more laden with downforce.
So he's got to make hay on some of those twistier parts of the track, or else he's going to be a sitting duck for Costa, who probably wants that open air back as they come out of the first corner once again, not able to get up to him. This is where we should see Marco start to stretch his legs out.
We should indeed, and there you can see that gap growing out a little bit more through those first couple of sectors. Pauli Partanen, though, that's the one that I'm a little bit worried about if I am Kayla or Costa. We've seen him many, many times just sit back and be patient. That's exactly what he's doing. Overshoots that braking zone a little bit. I think that's going to give him a little bit of a heart in his throat, as that's also going to allow for Gernot Friesche to catch back up into that battle.
It's not the first time we've seen Pauli miss the braking into that corner this time. And it puts him under threat from Friesche down into Cunningham, but he can't quite get up there. Tolinen doing a good job back behind as he sits in 5th, up 1 spot from where he started this race, just kind of quietly giving watch. I haven't even really been paying that much attention to him all race long, and I have to say, he could be a dark horse because this group, as much as we've been making a big deal out of Costa and Kayla, they have not spread apart.
No, they really haven't, Joe. Ooh, that was a very wide run there for Marco Kayla coming out of Le Mans, just clipping a little bit. Oh, and here comes the weaving. He's starting to get worried.
He's trying to break that draft as much as he can. Costa up to 173, 74 miles an hour before they get onto the binders. And he looks very good on the brakes as well, coming into the corner. Maybe not so much out of the corner, and he falls right back behind. I also saw a close moment between Frisha and Partanen behind, but those two stay in the same order. Love these shots from Dougie, flying through the air as we watch them screaming through that terrifying blind turn 1.
Yeah, it is such a tricky corner with the high speeds that you are experiencing, and especially considering, as we talked about, that high wind giving the cross breeze right there. It's just asking for the cars to get thrown off a little bit, and all of these drivers doing a great job to keep everything nice and contained.
I've been trying to keep an eye on the mid-pack to see if we get any battles, but honestly, this is one of the best ones. There's times where Konechny is close to Reed, but he's fallen off of him. So we'll try and jump back to that if it starts to pick up once again. And there you can see our 5 rivals all vying for first place. And oh no, we've lost Vascaloppi, and somebody else is off track with him. I think that's Dubois.
It is indeed. That looked like it was going down into the hairpin. I think the two must have made contact. Dubois got some right side pod damage, it looks like. Not sure about everybody else, but let's check out this replay.
Well, while everybody else was having turkey, looks like it was T-bone for these two, because straight into that side pod, you're going to see Dubois spin and no place to go.
Yeah, that's just an unfortunate circumstance there. You can watch on board with Timu. Nowhere for him to go. And even going into that corner, Joe, it looked like Timu already had a little bit of left front wing damage. But that is going to be, I think, race done for the number 9 here today.
I'm enjoying seeing Gernot Frisha back to his old ways here and being competitive with the fields from the get-go. But he hasn't led this race yet. I wonder if this is him patiently watching and waiting. He's a driver as well in the past who tended to set up the car to be quicker at the end of the race. And you've always talked about how these cars change handling from beginning to end. I wonder if this complexion will completely switch around when we get to the final laps today.
Well, it's already looking pretty good for Gernot. He's been able to close it down by a couple of tenths on the last 3 laps to Partanen in front of him, keeping up at that speed. Whoa! Christophe Dubois getting a little bit frisky there, trying to look to move onto the inside there. Able to hold it off, but not by a whole lot.
That's Edwards who's trying to defend. Dubois apparently not too slowed up by all that damage you can see on the right side, and he is going to be able to get through. As in front of them, something's happened to Costa. Costa is slow. He's lost a spot to Partanen and Frisha. Oh, and now he gets tipped in the side as Toika runs into him, slides back across the track, and it is disaster for Juanmi Costa, who came in the points lead, and he's not going to have it after this.
No, he's not, and this all started on an accident of his own making. He just got a little bit wide coming into the corner and got himself thrown out. Now, this is diving down into the hairpin. Just outbrakes himself, Joe. We talked that he was not looking like he was the best handling car coming through there on previous laps. Oh, excuse me, it was coming up into Cunningham that he has the problem.
Yeah, I just saw him slow through Collier as our screens switched to him. And let's see, second place. Oh yeah, way too deep, way too deep. Thankfully kept it out of the barriers, but by the time he got back going, Toika sees an opportunity, and side by side into tower is always going to be dangerous. And that little hip check. Wow, he's very lucky he did not hit anybody as he came back across the track.
And he's calling it. He's calling it.
No. He already has his 2 drop weeks taken by zeros. This means he is going to be sent way, way back coming into the final rounds. He should technically still be mathematically in it, but that might be most of his championship hopes gone unless all of his rivals also have bad days.
Oh my goodness gracious, high drama here at Sebring. Juan Costa, that is just a stake through the heart here for the number 6. It has been a flawless season almost, just great drives across the board, and you hate to see it end up like that.
Here's where it gets even more interesting, though. Sebring second in points today coming in. He's still only 6th place. He is going to be overtaken in points by Pauli Partanen if they finish as they are, because Pauli is running in 2nd, and he is only 8 points behind Sebring on the way in today.
Well, that is going to be a big, big change, but there is still a lot of this race still yet to run, Joe, and we've seen just how tricky the conditions here are out on track. I'm going to keep my eye open for just about everything because I don't think we are done with drama here today.
Oh, I highly doubt it. And we still have 21 drivers running, but we've already lost Costa, Vascalampi, and Aguilera. Otherwise, Marco Kayla is your leader. We come back to this battle for the 12th spot. Dubois being chased by Konieczny, who is going to be passed by Edwards potentially. Gets a great exit out of Sunset. He's on the outside, but he's got a nose ahead, and now he's fully passed. Oh, but he goes a little bit wide. He leaves a little too much space for Peter. Peter is not able to take advantage. That is 12th spot for 13th spot for Armando.
And that's a lot for Daniel Banker to really close up behind this battle. You can see him there in that white machine behind both of them. He's going to get a good run here, I think, on Kozineski. Maybe going to try to push it a little bit. You can see him starting to stuck up behind him, that draft. There he goes. He's going to poke his nose to the inside. Not going to go for the full send, but that still is going to cause Kozineski to run a little bit wide. Whew, he's got to be careful with that big chunk of the curve on the exit of the hairpin.
He's very close to him still. Does he dare into Cunningham? Nope, he does not. In fact, Peter is very good on the brakes into there as he pulls away a little bit. We hop on board looking from the helmet cam of Daniel Banker now. I always thought this is one of the trickiest parts of this track, coming through Collier into Tower, that difficult curved braking zone. And then you get a little bit of relief flat out now through Bishop towards Jean Debian. It's going to be hard to try and follow in the wake of that car ahead, but if he can stay close enough, well, the Ullman straight should reward him.
You see him just taking a little bit of an alternate line there, trying to keep part of that front wing into clear air. Marco Kayla there setting the fastest lap of the race. Last time out, Banker really starting to close in here.
He's got a good run, but Peter says no once again and will not allow him through. Oh, almost looked like maybe some ghost contact between them out of the corner, and Peter dips his wheels into the grass. He keeps it from spinning somehow and holds on to that 14th place.
I am really, really impressed here with Peter Kozineski, Joe. You see all of that front wing damage to the front of that car and front nose damage for that matter. And the fact that he is able to keep this thing not only pointed in the right way and on the track, but actively being able to hold off and be engaged in a battle is really a testament to the skill of Peter.
I almost think there's more speed in it, too, because he was missing about every apex through there. And unfortunately, it will cost him dearly this time because Banker is going to get through. And in front of them, Dubois is off the course once again through the hairpin. A little bit of a roadblock for Banker. Oh, and he goes off track, splitting the difference in a smooth move. There goes Peter Konieczny, and unfortunately, Banker spins off into the barrier, losing control.
Oh, a terrible end to a great battle there. Let's see exactly how this all shakes out. There's the move from Banker, tries to get around Dubois, just touches those tires onto the outside grass, and that's going to be all she wrote.
Yeah, he was just put off of his game a little bit, and that cost him. It's not done, though. Peter Konieczny is going to lose the spot back to Christophe Dubois, who's had a heck of a race. He just gets through as we come back live to, I believe this is Freesia, we are on board with. right now across the start-finish line. Kayla getting another fastest lap. This is a battle for P2. Partanen up ahead of Gernot Friesche. I said he tends to like a car that comes alive at the end of the race, and it is starting to wake up.
It certainly is, Joe. He's going to have to try to get a move on, though, because he has about 3 seconds up the road to try to catch in on your leader, Marco Kayla. And so he's really and truly going to want to try to get past Partanen as soon as possible and start to get his way forward if he's going to be looking at the top step of the podium. But as for right now, as we said, he's got to get by that number 5, Yuka Tolan, and you can see they're just kind of stalking in the background. I wouldn't count out Yuka quite yet. He may be able to pick up some pieces.
Kayla's on 3 wins this season, looking to make it 4. Ooh, I think we had another problem with Konechny. I think he had a spin on his own. Don't need to go to it. That was in turn 3, so he's going to fall to 16th from that one. And here we see the number 2 machine. I believe he's on 5 podiums for the season total so far. This has been an impressive one from Marco Kayla. That Raccoon Racing car as he bounds across the bumps out, and look at him hang the tail out as we come back to Barry West, who recently lost this spot. He's trying to get it back from Freckleton. Oh, they're going to tangle. Freckleton goes off course. Barry West is able to continue on. Dylan falls to 15th.
Yeah, and Barry came on the radio there and apologized, feeling a little bit bad for pulling a bit of a Verstappen there, I think, forcing Freckleton off the track. There you can see just coming to the inside. Barry has the line. Just outbraked himself a little bit and ran wide there, locking up those front tires.
And that puts Freckleton under threat from Konechny, as well as Polychronopoulos, who's catching up. We come back to Gernot Friesche once again. A mere 0.3 of a second separating him and Partanen as they come out of turn 5. Great exit from Partanen. He's going to be out of reach this time down into the hairpin.
Yeah, and I'm looking at that last lap, Joe, and Pauly's doing a pretty good job of keeping up and keeping ahead. Looks like he was actually setting a purple sector time through sector 4. So Pauly responding very well to this pressure that Gernot's applying, but Gernot's starting to get a little bit frisky.
Yeah, he's getting closer and closer. If he doesn't get the win, I have a feeling that Gernot is savvy enough he could try and get this second place away. There you can see the lap comparison between the pair of them. And it's also a big shout out in our comments section. We see the man who started the CTC, Frank Herfjord, is with us. So Frank, welcome back. And yes, it is a very different complexion to what it once was, but one thing remains the same. It is intense battles throughout the field.
Yeah, it certainly is. Like that move there from Poly Partanen. A little bit different than some of the weaving that we see. And Joe, you and I have talked about many a time that weaving back and forth often slows down the cars a little bit, but that just sort of sudden jerk to the inside to try to break off some of the momentum really helped. Taking a wider line there was Partanen that forced Gernot to come down to the inside, run over those bumps, maybe not get the optimal line through Sunset, but he's starting to close up here into turn 1.
Can he manage to get a mistake out of the number 5 as the Williams livery car continues to try and chase Partanen around this track? Unfortunately, we did get very sad news this morning. If you haven't heard yet, Sir Frank Williams has passed away. So our thoughts and prayers obviously go out to the Williams family right now, who are probably in mourning, and a big thank you to Frank for all the years of excitement in racing that he gave us in Formula One and in the motorsports world all over. Hopefully we can see Gernot do him proud here today. And coming down into Cunningham once again, he's showing his nose, but I don't think that was a realistic attempt.
No, I don't think it was either. Just a little bit of a pressure application, let's call it, just seeing how Pauly's going to respond. It's one of the things about Gernot that makes him such a great driver, Joe, is he's really cerebral when he drives. He thinks everything through. And so kind of making those little probing attacks like that, it's just a way to see, okay, can I get anything here? Can I get anything there? Just pushing this way and that.
And the thing is, we're only halfway through this, too. It feels like we've had so much going on already. I looked at our lap counter, and I was like, oh, we still got a lot to go. So time is not running out for Gernot yet. He's still got plenty of opportunities as long as this pace keeps up. And he repeatedly shows himself in the mirrors there down the Ullman Straight once again. Let's get a worm's eye view of just how bumpy it is around this track.
You can see it there, and you can see the move. Here comes Gernot Fritzsche trying to try something to the outside of Paulie Partonen. Partonen able to defend the inside. I think Gernot thought for a second there he was going to get a little bit more of overspeed on the over-under, but not able to play it out there. But again, Gernot just probing, trying to see where the weaknesses are.
And he's up against a Finn. I don't know if it's true or not, but often it feels like they have ice in their veins. And Paulie Partonen so far has not been able to make made flinch here by Gernot Fritzsche. So he's going to have to do better than that to try and scare him away and see if he can elicit a mistake. They're still about 3.5 seconds off of Marco Kayla. I don't know if that's Marco backing it up or if they're just running enough pace that they're keeping him honest. But whatever the case, Marco's not been able to distance himself enough that he is completely out of threat.
No, he's not, and I'm looking at some of the times. It's hard to tell if that's the case. I think part of it is that Marco may be running a little bit more, as we kind of talked about earlier on, maybe a little bit more trimmed down in that car. Maybe has a little bit more downforce on it, and that's slowing him down some of the long straights here.
Come back to Severi Seppa, who's had a frustrating second half of the season. He's looking pretty smooth in the car right now, but man, the speed has just not been there these past 2 rounds. If not the speed, then he simply hasn't been getting the finishing results. His last win was round 3 at Phillip Island. He was on the podium last time at the Hungaroring, which was a number of races ago at this point. So whatever happened to Sebring, he just has lost his mojo a little bit.
He has, but who certainly hasn't, that's Gernot Fritzsche, who's side by side with Paulie Partonen. Partonen tried to squeeze him down to the pit wall, but that didn't work. Now squeezes him down going into turn 2, able to keep that number 5 ahead for now.
Okay, so it is time to flip the switch for Gernot Fritzsche. He has gone from just poking and prodding to now full-on attack. He's starting to feel like it's possible to get by. Once again, just weaving a little bit, trying to see if there's an opening down to the hairpin, but it's not there this time. Look at that orange and white car behind them, just giving watch, kind of egging them on. That's Jukka Tolinen in the background, watching to see if maybe they'll fight enough. He could catch up. A little bit of a look from Fritzsche into Cunningham. Another time just getting back into the racing line.
Yeah, unfortunately for Paulie, I've been checking out his lap times. He's been slower on the whole. The only lap in the last 4 or 5 that he was able to go faster was the last lap for Paulie Partonen. So he's got some room to make up here, or for Jukka Tolinen rather. So he's got some room to make up if he wants to try to catch up to this battle, even with all the battling that we are seeing between the two.
Oh, he's right on his tail. If he can stay this close out of Le Mans, I think Fritzsche has his best chance yet, and he does. It's going to be a huge slipstream down the Ullman Straight. Partonen knows it. He goes defensive to the outside. Can he get it done the long way around? Will he be able to chop him off? He's fully ahead. He could cut down if he wants to. He does not. He gives plenty of space, maybe too much space, as Gernot Fritzsche goes very wide, all the way down to the inside wall. A shorter line, but a rougher track for Paulie Partonen does not pay off. He starts to fall back, and he's on the outside, and Fritzsche finally shuts the door.
Finally gets it done. Absolutely perfect there. He was really setting himself up for turn 1 since the Ullman Straight. That's the kind of heady racing that we talk about, that we expect from Gernot Fritzsche. He was thinking 3 corners ahead there, Joe.
Okay, so Fritzsche is now passed. He's got open air, but he's got 4.5 seconds to make up to Marco Kayla. His fastest lap, a 46.9. Kayla's fastest, a 46.7. Not too great of a distance between them on those. Now, will we see him turn up the wick?
We'll have to see indeed. The sector's starting to come in now. as time goes along. Obviously, some time lost courtesy of those battles with Paulie Partonen. But if anybody can close down this gap, I would have my money on it being Gernot Freicha.
What if we could jump back to P10, because we got a nice battle brewing in the mid-pack. Loic Barba and Pablo Suarez. And in fact, Suarez is going to take a little bit of a look down into Cunningham. Nothing doing that time. And Loic Barba started this race from 15th, up 5 spots. It's 2 up for Pablo Suarez. He'd like to make that 3 if he can. And he's continuing to see if he can shake anything out of the number 4.
Yeah, again, just trying to apply pressure here. This has been a really good season for Pablo Suarez. We've certainly seen him come alive. Wow, you normally don't see a pass done into there, but nobody told Pablo Suarez.
Oh, but look at how much that cost him. Unfortunately, he falls way, way back compared to how he was before. And I think Marco Kayla just saw that Freicha took that second place. He sets another fastest lap. And it's a few hundredths quicker, so it's not major, but he is back on it. The gap is coming down, though. Freicha down to 4.4 at one point. Now it stretches back away. It was not a quicker lap for Freicha, 47 flat. So I wonder if there was a bit of a mistake early in this lap from Kayla.
There may have been. It looked like Kayla lost about a 10th there in the first sector. So I'm not entirely sure what happened. I'll have to go back and check it, Joe.
Watching the battle now here between Konecny and 16th, Paulie Chronopoulos behind him, and Keith Herner back in 18th. All three of them out through Sunset Bend. A little too wide for Jason. That's going to make him slow on the corner exit. Keith Herner is going to get into the slipstream. He'll show himself. He'll look to the inside down to turn 1. Early braking from Jason, and I think he decided to give that one up a bit.
Yeah, I think he saw the writing on the wall, but that was a little bit of a wide run there from Keith Herner. Jason not going to push the issue, though, in that very striking blue machine.
Absolutely. As we come back to Seppa once again, starting to catch up to Teemu Toika, I think. Oh, yes. 4/10 faster last time by. Mentioned we haven't seen Teemu on the channel. He's known by his friends and fans as Fat Teemu. He embraces it. And the Finn is usually pretty quick in these retro series. Often would see him over in the Camel GT races. And another bit of time lost. A 46.9, a personal best for Teemu, but Seppa, 47.1, am I seeing? So that was actually slower for Seppa.
Yeah, you're seeing that right. It was about a 10th and a half faster for Teemu Toika. So good runs there for the number 12. And as you said, we used to seeing him over in that Camel GT series, Joe. A lot of these drivers you see, if they are good in one of the retro disciplines, they'll be good in several of the retro disciplines. A lot of similar driving styles needed to take into place.
Ooh, interesting news on Gernot Freicha. I saw the gap go up a bit. He had a big slide in turn 3, thankfully caught it. But that cost him a few tenths to Marco Kayla, in spite of being quicker last time by than him. So Gernot maybe pushing a little bit too hard, and the car not liking it.
He may be indeed. He's got to be careful. Paulie Partonen has not let this battle die down, and when coming to the line with 7 to go, it's certainly possible that we could still see a little bit of a battle here for this second place position.
Yeah, now it's getting to be too late for Marco Kayla, of course, or for Gernot Freicha rather. And oh, did we lose Peter Konecny? Man, Peter has been on a ride today. I feel like I've seen at least 4 or 5 spins or off tracks from him, and he just lost some more spots and fell down to 20th. You can see he's dropped behind Daniel Gallus now, who is up to 19th place. I think Peter's suffering from that damage ever since he found himself with a little bit of a snub nose on that car. Here's the mistake. I think it's into turn 3.
He's able to run, runs a little bit wide there coming through the first turn, but we've seen plenty of drivers do that. Tries to take a late apex, and the rear end just does not want to comply.
Yeah, I'm honestly going to chalk that up to the damage on the car, probably not giving him the handling and the downforce that he is used to. Oh, did we lose Timothy Reed? I think we just lost Timothy Reed from our top 10. Turn 1 claimed another victim. The number 8 car, unfortunately, found out there's no small accidents through that swift left-hander.
No, there are not. Let's go back and check out that replay. Good line there out of Sunset. So this is the number 8 bringing the car around wide out through the pit wall, brings it in. Oh, rear brakes traction and right into the tire barrier.
Bounced off of it. He tried to keep it going. Well, look at it crab though. Yeah, that's why he took a tow. Day over for him. And our latest DNF. Only 4 of them so far joining Costa, Vascalante, and Aguilera. Back to Partonen. Yeah, he's starting to drift away. Frecia might not be catching Kayla, but he's putting distance between himself and P3. It's looking less and less like our podium will change unless we get a major error out of one of them.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the previous lap times here, and it looks like that last lap was a little bit of an outlier in terms of pace. Let's see what they come across here on lap 19. Again, Frecia able to pull about 0.5 of a second out over Paulie Partonen. So yeah, I think here that number 1 machine relatively solid. We jump back though to that battle for 5th. Team Utoika still holding off Sebring Seppa.
Seppa within about half a second, but look at this. They've caught up to Tolinen as well. So the battle for 4th have all been kind of scrunching back together. And funnily enough, it's 3 Finns that are all going to be fighting for it. We've often commented recently how this has been a Finnish invasion this season. And in fact, of our top 6, only 1 of them is not a Finn, Gernot Frecia.
Yeah, indeed. The Finns really just have taken over this series. It's always obviously been a pretty European-centric series, but the Finns just showing their dominance out there.
Once again, hard to beat them in sim racing or in real racing. Something special in the blood of those Northern Europeans. 6 laps to go. Going to be 5 to go pretty soon because Kayla's already on the Ullman straight. And these 3, yeah, I think they really are inching closer and closer together. Tolinen's last lap, 47 flat, 46.6 for Toika, 47 flat for Seppa. So Seppa lost a little bit, but Toika definitely gained. Let's see what it is this time by for all of them. They're actually not too far behind Partonen still as well. It's about just under 2 seconds between them. Tolinen crosses the line, 46.8. He's turning up, that's a personal best. Toika, 46.5. Another personal best, still gaining. Seppa, 46.4.
Well, I think the real question there, though, for Team Utoika is whether or not that is him trying to push on Paulie Partonen or if it is him just trying to get away from Sebring Seppa, Joe. I think both are very, very real possibilities.
Out through Big Bend once again. Seppa pulling a toe, but I don't think he's close enough. Not missing anything with the battle on the podium in front of them because it is pretty well dissipated at this stage. And out of the hairpin, Team Utoika, who has been playing defense on Seppa, could become the attacker instead if he can just get that tiny bit closer to the number 7 machine as we follow on his nose around Collier, going past the rising sun here in Florida early in the morning here today at 9:30 virtual standard time.
Yeah, it is indeed, Joe, and that explains a little bit for the reason why everything is a little bit chillier out on track. But I'm watching Sebring Seppa here because if I'm Seppa in this position, I may be deliberately holding back a little bit to make an assault on Team Utoika ahead of me, because I know when he and Tolinen start to battle for that P4, that's going to leave them both vulnerable. And so he may be waiting a little bit to just see if he can do a 2-for-1.
Absolutely. I think that sounds like the smart way to go to me. We tick down to now 4 laps to go, and this is the closest that we've seen for Team Utoika on Tolinen. He unfortunately runs out of straightaway, but he's better off the exit. A little too deep into the corner for Tolinen. And turn 3 still not offering up the chance. A big slide, though, as Teemu's getting antsy.
Is indeed trying to bite off a little bit too much there, I think, potentially. Riding on board with Sebring Seppa now. It looks like that is going to be Teemu a little far back to try to make the move on Tolinen. Doesn't even think about it, doesn't poke his nose. There's Sebring a little bit better under braking.
Off the hairpin. They're much closer this time around than they were last lap. Watching from the Renault liveried number 3. Oh, very deep on the brakes, too deep on the brakes, and Toika finds himself in the grass, spins it around. A little pirouette, unfortunately, is not going to get him much more than style points.
Very unfortunate there for Teemu Toika, just falling victim to the lightness of these cars when the fuel burns off. Let's ride on board. I think there that Yuka ahead of him taking the good braking line, and Teemu just didn't really anticipate it, didn't back up his braking enough, had to just slam on the brakes, and that spin was really a result of those rear brake discs locking and sending that rear end out into a spin.
The good news is the next car down was Ove Trengerud. It is Ove Trengerud still. He was a long ways back, so he only fell to 6th place and lost 1 spot. But now it is Seppa's turn as he catches up to Tolinen. Can he do what Teemu could not?
Well, he's got about 0.5 of a second to make up, and it looks like on that last lap, he was, actually, I can't really tell because, nope, there it is. He was a little bit slower, but still able to try to catch in a little bit more.
Indeed, and between them, fastest lap, easily going to Seppa, 4/10 quicker than Tolinen, so it looks like he's got more speed as we take a look at the man who has the overall fastest lap, Marco Kayla, leading by 5.1 seconds. Still hasn't stretched any farther since that last mistake that I mentioned a few laps ago from Gernot Friesche, who's been keeping him honest, but just doesn't seem to have the pace for him. Jason, who I'm trying to think if we've seen Polychronopoulos here before, and I don't believe we have. The 23 coming in on the top split, granted with one of the lower numbers, I think the lowest number actually, but showing himself to be a good racer today as he's up to 16th and is trying to hunt down Christophe Dubois, who's a bit of a wounded duck today. He's got quite a bit of damage on the rear wing, and I believe his right side pod also sporting a fair bit.
Yeah, indeed. And Jason here, as you said, yes, it's a 16th place position, but look who he's finishing ahead of. Names that we are very used to seeing in this series, like Reed, Costa, Vascalampi, even Dylan Freckleton up there. So a very, very solid run. And I got to say, I do think you're right, Joe. This is the first time that we have seen that machine here today or over the course of the season. But it's a solid run. He hasn't made any mistakes. He's just pushing forward, and that's exactly what you want to do. So a massive kudos here to the 23.
Hello. There's a purple lap from Gernot Friesche, putting a 1:45.7 in. The only driver to have broken into the 1:45s, and by quite a margin. Kayla's best lap is a 46.2. So this has suddenly been turned on its head. But you have to ask Gernot, where were you?
Yeah, I'm not sure why he waited that long to put in that good of a time, honestly. But, I mean, it may have just been sort of the seas opening, and there are a lot of sections on Sebring here. We don't really think of it, but that are very rhythmic in the way that you've got to go through it. Cunningham really all the way down through Jean-Debienne and Le Mans. Going through those corners, you get a good rhythm, and it may just have been a thing that he finally synced the car up just the way he liked it and was able to get that fastest lap.
If he had managed to put laps like that in as soon as he got into the clear air, he would have caught up to Caleb by now, but it's going to be too little too late at this stage. He's just way too far back unless he gets a mistake out of Marcos. We keep watching this battle for the 4th place, and poor Tolinen has not been able to relax all race long. Seppa, now the latest of the drivers, trying to see what he can get out of him. Back to the racing line for Tolanen. He feels safe enough there in the sunset.
Yes, he does. So not pushing too hard, but I think that little bit of a wide run there for Sebring Seppa. That's going to push him out a little bit, but he's going to get a nice little draft here.
Does he go to the inside? Yes, he does. He's going to take the inside line away, but he drifts out. Oh, no! Tolanen gets shoved out into the grass. He keeps it from going into the wall, and that will at least put him in the top 5. So Seppa, our latest driver, to really try to get a little aggressive here today to take a spot.
Indeed, you saw him there think about not going for it. Oh, that car wanted to step out on him in the middle, able to catch it, and then able to get his way forward. Sebring just finally had enough of tailing behind that machine.
Oh, and Seppa almost gave it right back as he went deep into the hairpin, but thankfully Yuka was far enough away. We're on the final lap of the race. Now, what's interesting for Marco Kayla, since he is in the fight for the championship, he's going to want to get that fastest lap back from Gernot Prix. He came within 0.2 of a second last time. Prix is not in the hunt, but he'll still get the bonus point regardless. So I'm not sure if that's Gernot maybe trying to do something to stick it to Marco, or maybe we're just barking up the wrong tree with that one. Regardless, it's definitely more important to the 2 car.
Yeah, it certainly is. He'll maybe get a little bit of a hint of a draft here, as that's Peter Kozineski right ahead of him. It looks like he may have some good pace here. He was green through sector 3, 4, and 5, and down into 6. He may be able to get that fastest lap as he comes to the line.
This is going to be telling. It's a win for Marco Kayla, his 4th on the season, but it won't be the points lead quite yet. Gernot Prix comes across, and he does not go faster, but neither does Marco Kayla. Pauli Partanen gets 3rd. Tolanen winds up 4th. Did Seppa give the spot back?
I'll have to go back and check out the replay, but I would not be surprised by that at all. Very, very good gentleman drivers here in this series, and that was a little bit of argy-bargy there out of Sebring.
It's hard to tell. He slowed up, it looked like, and then he left him behind for a while before he finally got through. So regardless, the position was returned in the end, and the last of them coming through, including this battle for 15th place. Dubois trying to keep Jason Polychronopoulos back behind him.
Trying to hold him off the best that he can. And remember, Peter's got a very damaged car. You can see that rear wing. I think Jason may have a good run here as they work their way out of those sweepers, lining up for Jean Debienne and going down into Le Mans.
It's a little too far back to me. I don't think Jason's quite close enough unless Dubois slips up. Oh, but he's not. We has the damage. Maybe this is it. He's not quick in a straight line. Jason is close enough. He's going to get to the inside, but he's not brave enough as he brakes early. And Dubois out of the final turn. Does he have it solid? Yes, he does. 15th place for Christophe. Jason still up from 20th spot to 16th in the end. That's going to take us to a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so make sure and stick around.
That dirt's not going to help him as we got Espez, who has been saving fuel. Does he have enough to finish this lap going all out? Taking a look down the inside as he gets covered up. Oh, we're going to go 3 wide into the hairpin.
3 wide. Hawken makes it stink on the right side. Better run for Williams on the left. Espez chooses the left as well. Hawken now stuck side by side as Espez goes for a 3 wide move. Heading towards Cunningham. Espez bullies his way back up to the point. Williams with the preferred line. Hawken makes it 3 wide again. Hawken and Williams late break. Side by side still.
Tolanen's got one of the best runs we've seen from him yet, and this could be the overtake he's been looking for. He pulls up on him, staying to the inside. Partanen stays down low as they come towards the braking into 1 and 2. A little bit of a back off from Tolanen, even though he's good on the binders. Oh, but he shakes him off the racing line and pulls the over-under, and he gets past Partanen.
Gonna poke his nose to the inside, going down into turn 10. That sweeping right-hander. Oh, contact! Newhook gets the worst of it.
He tries to whoa it up. Can he? He does keep it on course amazingly. I thought he was going to have to cut the chicane, but now look at all of them swamping side to side as there's a little bit of a brush into the right front fender of Newhook's car. Now a little bit of banging between himself and Calgill, trying to hold on to it. They are getting rough out there. We still have 28 minutes to go.
Joe, that was almost 4 wide coming down into turn 1. I don't know if I've ever seen that much aggression here out of these MX-5s.
Under braking, who is the bravest here? More lap traffic in front of him. It looks like Reynolds goes a little bit deeper, but is it too deep? No, he gets ahead. Thomas O'Leary cannot hold him back. Blake Reynolds is back up to the point, fighting back now. It's going to come down through the stadium section and the inside with Thomas O'Leary. The shorter line and a spin from Blake Reynolds gives it up. Get one more good shot here, but passing into Rent. I don't know about that. Side by side in the last corners will be sketchy. Lap traffic staying out of the way. Hammer defends to the inside. Burns around the long way. And he's going to have to take to the runoff because there's a little bit of nudge between them. Comes back to the racetrack, but he's behind as Hammer exits the final corner. Hammer is going to take the win here at Austria. Welcome back to Sebring International Raceway. It was round 11, the penultimate round of the season here for the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and Marco Kayla puts himself back in the hunt after missing a few weeks here in the championship. Gernot Frische followed him home and denied him the fastest lap bonus, though, as Pauli Partanen finished third. Jukka Tolinen back into fourth on the last lap after a bit of a shove aside by Severi Seppa, who finished fifth behind him. And Timu Toika, unfortunately, his own mistake cost him a chance at that fourth place. He still got sixth. It was Ove Trangrade who finished seventh, with Karthik Pai in P8, Loic Barba in P9, and Pablo Suarez rounds out your top 10.
Armando Edwards came home in 11th, followed by Thomas Bardfai, with Barry West and Keith Herner in 13th and 14th. Jason Polychronopoulos was 15th, followed by Daniel Gallus, with Daniel Banker in 17th and Peter Kodzaneski behind him. Christophe Dubois was 19th and the last driver to finish the race, with Dylan Freckleton, a DNF.
Everyone from there on down did not see the checkered flag, unfortunately, but Gernot Frische did, back once again and seemingly on his horse because he had good qualifying, he had good pace, just wasn't quite enough for the win itself. But Gernot, fastest lap at podium. It looks like you found your groove a bit.
Hi, Joe. Definitely, yes. I think that must have been my best week in a long time with quite some margin. The difference was that I put in quite some practice this week and just felt more comfortable. Also liked the track. So yeah, I had really fun race and a great battle with the other Finns.
It was fun to watch. And the thing I have to ask, though, is we saw you have a great battle with Pauli, eventually was able to take that second place. And once you got by, we wondered if you had enough pace to run down Marco. Initially, you did not. And then suddenly, with 2 laps to go, you're flying with the fastest lap. What changed in the car those last 2 laps to let you really turn it up?
I don't think it changed. Maybe my approach changed because I was pushing really a lot there. Maybe try to go for the fastest lap as well, just for fun. And also try to put a little bit of a gap to Pauli because Pauli is super strong as well, and I didn't want to have him close to my back.
Just for fun, I'm sure Marco, with his hunt for the championship, might be a little frustrated that you took that one on a whim. Even still, this was a great race to watch from you. Anybody you want to give a shout out to while we have you?
Yeah, just the guys running this series. It's still a lot of fun. This season, after missing some weeks, so yeah, I really enjoyed coming back with some pace again. So that has been a fun race for me. Yeah, huge congrats to Marco for a dominant win. Don't know why he was so quick in this one, and to Pauli as well, completing the podium. See you guys.
That was Gernot Frische, second place today, as DJ has caught up with our winner Marco Kayla, who is going to try and get himself back into the fight for the championship.
I have indeed, Marco. It really kind of looked like some pretty smooth sailing for you out there. Obviously, the early battles with Wanmi, but talk me through that race.
Well, I got good pace on this situation at the moment. There's good weather, so I don't know. Before this broadcast race, I was behind Pauli and I didn't get to overtake him, but now I just flew. I don't know what happened during that 1 hour before the race.
Well, I think it's one of those things that's I wouldn't question it too much, probably. But talk me through those early stages of the race. Obviously, the battle with Juan Costa. When you saw him spin out in front of you, were you thinking, okay, I'm just going to go all out here? Or was it much more of a, okay, I'm just going to sit and make sure I bring the car home?
Well, after the pass, I knew some kind I'm going to overtake him, and I have to go all out all the time in the race, or otherwise I could make a mistake or something like that.
Well, I think going all out you did, but I have to ask you, we're coming in. Last race of the season is next week at Monza. Obviously, you are in that championship conversation. Are you thinking about the championship, or are you just thinking about the race?
All about the race. I love driving with these cars and with these people. Always good races and clean races, almost. Besides all the netcodes or something like that. I'm sorry about the netcode you joined me, but it happens time to time.
Sadly, it does indeed on the service. But anybody you'd like to thank for this win here today, Marco?
All the community and the setup makers making all this possible, and you guys, of course.
We are always happy to cover it. That was your winner here today, Marco Kayla. And now, Joe, I believe you've caught up with Barry West.
Indeed, Barry West with a P13 today. One of those drivers, though, that definitely had a few adventures throughout the day. We commented about how tricky this track has got to be with the ground effects and there being a lot of bumps. Do you feel like it was it saw a lot of drivers fall by the wayside compared to normal today, Barry, or was this pretty typical?
Today I found really difficult. The track, I don't know what the temperature was, but it was really slippy and I kept locking up. Poor qualifying, so just put fuel in for the second lap just to try to get used to it. And I think I even came off then, and then missed 2 gears to turn 1 on the start, and then got around the outside in the S's. But Thomas, I've got to give a shout out to Thomas. I punted him up the rear into turn 1. He missed a gear, I think, and that cost him dearly. But he caught up really quickly, and we had a good little ding dong. But yeah, I'm glad he got past us. And then Dylan Faggleton, I don't know what happened there. I just it didn't sound like it locked up, but it reacted like it locked up on the inside into turn 4, 5. But yeah, and I just took him wide, so I presume I damaged his race. So apologies to Dylan. But yeah, apart from that, it's just trying to keep it clean. Then, and then 3 laps from the end, did you catch my lovely mistake in the hairpin straight into the tires? I thought that's the end of it, and I had a bit of time on Keith Herner behind, and 2 or 3 laps to go, and I had to try and keep it on the track for 3 laps, and I think it was 0.3 at the line, so that was lucky for me. Really exciting race, really, I suppose, considering, but not the best race this week.
Well, it's still a 13th in top split, so that's going to be decent points for you. Heading off to Monza, it's always a bit of a crapshoot, especially in these cars with the slipstream. Are you looking forward to wrapping up with what is typically a pretty exciting track?
Yeah, I love Monza. I mean, I suppose it's going back to the GPL days when, everybody raced Monza. But yeah, it's if you survive, you can get good position. But yeah, that's what it's going to be about. And yeah, I do love it. But of course, it's a draft stream, and you've got to know what you're doing, and it can be very tricky. I mean, it's probably going to be trickier than Homestead, I think, because the draft will play a bit of a role, I think, there.
No doubt about that. Well, again, well done today. Is there anybody you want to give a shout to before we let you go?
Well, thanks for you guys for doing such a good job. And it looks like I think we're going to get you back next season as well. So, yeah, looking forward to that.
Oh, we are as well. That was Barry West, P13 today. And before we go, a quick setup for the finale. I haven't done the exact math, but from what I can tell, we're looking at something roughly 5 points between the top three. And on top of that, our fans of retro racing, which I assume you are if you're watching this, we're heading to Monza for the finale. Sound familiar? Well, go check out Hollywood. Grand Prix might ring a bell as we get a stunner set up for the finale. But we need to take off and give a big thank you to the Lotus 79 Grand Prix community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also, we want to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more awesome work. And thanks to the team today, DJ, Ryan, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a moment. The next race, as we mentioned, Monza, Sunday, December 5th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. More racing yet to come today. Big C's MX5 Challenge goes to Mosport, and that'll be at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.